Next, let's look at multiplying two matrices, which is called the dot product. If you're going to multiply two matrices, A times B, then what needs to happen is if we have a 3 by 2 matrix and a 2 by 4 matrix, then those inside numbers must match, meaning the columns of matrix A must match up with the rows of matrix B, and then it results in the outside dimensions for our final answer, which would be a 3 by 4 matrix, which means we would have 3 rows and 4 columns. So how do we actually do the multiplication for the dot product? Well, you'd start out with the first row and the first column. So what you do is you multiply first row, first column, then second row, second column, third row, third column. And when you do that, you add up all those values and you get a total of 58. That will be your first entry of your first row, first column in your dot product. So for the next one, what we do is first row, second column. And we'd multiply the first row and first column and second column and second row and third column and third row. We'd add up all those values and that would be my second entry of my matrix. Then I would go after my second row here and my first column, and I'd do the same thing. We'd have our second row, first column. We'd have our second row, second column, and we still have our second row, third column. So we would multiply all those values and then add them all up, and that would be our next value in our dot product matrix. Let's test this out to make sure that we have the pattern. Let's look at this first matrix. This first matrix is a 2 by 2. The second one is a 2 by 1. Notice you can indeed multiply these because the interior do match, so you're good with that. You can do the multiplication. The question is, what size matrix will you end up with as your final answer? And that's going to be your outside, which is the 2 and the 1. So you'll end up with a final answer that is a 2 by 1. So let's see how we're actually going to do it. So to actually do the multiplication, we're going to look at the first row and that first column. So first thing that we'll do is take your first entries and multiply them together, which will give you -6. And we'll add and multiply the second entries, which is the 5 and the 2, which is 10, which gives us a total of +4. So our first entry for a row and column will be a 4. Now, for my second and last entry, I need to look at the second row. And I'm still looking at the only column I have. So I'm going to look at multiplying the 7 and the 6 first, which is 42. And then we'll multiply the 0 and the 2, which is 0. Add them up, which will give me 42. So my dot product matrix is the 2 by 1 matrix for 42. And that is my final answer. Let's look at problem B now. Notice problem B starts out with a 2 by 4 and then follows up with a 2 by 3. Notice this is a problem. Those interior numbers do not match. If they don't match, no ifs, ands, or buts, we cannot multiply. So this is not possible.